Hey, I was listening to a prophet the other day on social media, and while they were talking, they were saying that tithing isn't for us. I don't know who us is, but I'm here to tell you today that tithing is most definitely for Christians. I've gone through seasons of tithing and not tithing over the years because as a younger person, it's just what was done at my church, and my parents believed in tithing. When I got older and within different spheres of influence, I was surprised to find that many people don't pay tithes because they don't believe that it is relevant to our present time. They say that it was done under the law, that it was done in the Old Testament, and that it should no longer be practiced because Jesus fulfilled the law. It wasn't until a pastor broke down how tithing came about that I understood why I should be tithing as a Christian and how not doing so was robbing God and also setting up my life to invite curses in rather than his blessings. The first thing we need to know is what is tithing. Within the sons of Jacob, each son's descendants had an inheritance of land except for Levi, and that was because Levi and his sons inherited the office of the priesthood. All of the other heirs were to give a tenth of what they produced to support the natural needs of the priest, such as food and clothing, and also for the upkeep of God's tent or temple. The very first example of tithing that we see in the Bible is Abram, before he became Abraham in Genesis chapter 14, verse 20. And this is where Abram has returned from warring with the four kings that pillaged and plundered Sodom and Gomorrah. And that's when his nephew Lot also had got kidnapped. Abram is blessed by the king priest Melchizedek and gives him a tenth of the goods that he received from the war. It is of note that all of this takes place well before Aaron or even Levi was born. This brings me to the most important point, which is identifying who exactly Melchizedek is and why he's so relevant to the topic of tithing. Melchizedek was both the king and the high priest of Salem. We don't know his lineage, and the writer of Hebrews chapter 7 makes this clear in verse 3. What we do know is that God established Jesus as our king and high priest after the order of Melchizedek by swearing Jesus in himself, declaring to him that you are a priest forever. If all of this is true, and if it is true that Jesus lives, then the priesthood is still in effect, and Jesus is still at the right hand of the Father, ready to receive our tithes to him, being, as it states in Hebrews chapter 7, verse 22, the guarantor of a better covenant. God the Father is not silent on the consequences of withholding tithes. You might have heard Malachi chapter 3, verse 10 quoted so often as to know it by heart and still not give God his due. The book of Malachi is given as a prophecy to God's people, Israel. The third chapter is where God confronts them for many things, including robbing him of his tithes and offerings, and tells them that they are under a curse of devastation because of it. But all is not lost. As he states, return to me and I will return to you. And we do this by embracing God's covenant and bringing our offering and whole tithe into his storehouse for its upkeep and objectives. Let me also add that we are not paying God for a blessing when we give him what is owed to him, any more than we would be paying for a blessing from the financier of our homes or cars by making a loan payment. We are simply holding up our end of the covenant by returning to him what he is owed, and we enjoy the blessings that come along as a result of being obedient. The caveat here is that it does you no good to tithe if you haven't accepted Jesus into your life. If you desire to make Jesus your Lord and Savior today, there's a prayer for you in the description box. Till next time.